into comics?
Well, I always liked them as a kid, you know. Unfortunately, there were no Latin heroes, so I always had to do the translation in my head, you know, give them a little Latin thing, brown them up a little bit, and but it taught me how to write, not being included in comic books. And so when I got started doing my graphic novels and comic books, it was for inclusion and to tell our stories, because we got a lot of great stories to tell.
Ooh, the one that drew me, yes, it was a giant-sized, I think it was number 19. It was the Marvel Comics oversized book. It had, and the covers were an homage of Band on the Run from Paul McCartney and Wings. I think it was 1978. And it was, a collection of stories, and it had Werewolf by Night and Ghost Rider and Iron Fist in it. And forgive me why it's escaping me. I still have it. It's a big book. Yeah, I still have it. And that's what got me into it. So then I remember in college, I went to college for illustration. One of my classmates brought in the Amazing Spider-Man number 300, the Todd McFarlane cover. And I was like, wow, that looks really different. And I remember looking at it, and I'm like, wow, this guy is great. This is not, like, he was throwing all convention out the window. His anatomy was crazy, and his angles and his perspective. And he was just looked like he was having a lot of fun, and it was so different and fresh from anything I had seen than, say, John Buscema. And that's what got me back into comics. I'm like, if he could do this, I can do this. Not in an insulting way, but that it wasn't exactly traditional.
It was inspiring.
Yes, it was inspiring. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I could do this. And that's what got me into it.
Oh, wow. You mean like as a profession?
Yes.
Oof. Well, my first son was born, and I thought, wow, life is so much simpler now. I have a kid, and now I realize the only thing you actually have to do is make sure that they're fed and reasonably happy. So I should do something that I really want to do. So I thought, I want to write comics. So that's how I got in. And then I realized I'm not really very good at writing comics, but I'm super good at managing projects. So one thing led to another, and here we are.
Fantastic. I love that answer.
I am a very voracious reader, and when I discovered comic books as a teenager, that there'd be new content every month, that was like the best thing in the world to me. I'm like, if I find something I like, I can get more, and I can get more. And then I really fell in love with like the medium and the way that it tells stories, and the rest is history.
As a fan, there's no simple answer, but long story short, Marvel did a anti-smoking comic with Luke Cage, Storm, and Spider-Man. That was the first time I remember getting in comics, and I kind of just held on to that for a long time. But the real catalyst was actually Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, like every kid of that generation of the 80s, right? I was way into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I didn't read the Mirage Studio stuff first. I started reading the Archie stuff first because I was like about 8 or 9 or whatever. And so, yeah, that kind of dovetailed into like Marvel and then DC and then just comics as a whole. So, there you go.